It only depends on the person how one develops it. That's why again I am referring to Swami Vivekananda. He said, what is religion? Religion is manifestation of divinity that already exists in man. Religion is not offering your worship in a certain, according to certain rituals, not dogma, not karmakand. It is that divinity that already exists in every man and woman. When you work for its manifestation, then it gives you Atman, it gives you character, it gives you conviction, and it is only men of character, men of women of conviction. I'm sorry, I said men of in women, men are included. Women of character, women of conviction, women of Atman, who can play the real meaningful role in building the nation. In the educational institutions, in the universities, in a center of excellence like BIMTech, where you have all the opportunities to acquire knowledge, to refine your mind, I am sure you must also be making efforts to acquire these qualities which will make real human beings out of you. I think I've already taken enough time.
May I ask some questions?
Sure, sure. Thank you very much. You have listened with great patience. Thank you very much. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Thank you, sir. That was very enlightening and stimulating indeed. And I'm sure it would have kindled a few queries in the young minds here. Questions?
Yes, I can see that.
Vivek is ready with his question, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. Vivek, sir. Sir, as you pointed out in between, that cultures need to change as well. As in, what is being said previously needs to be upgraded as well. So, what is your opinion in this? Sticking to this Indian culture, or would you say that we should pick up good points from the West as well as from our own, and then upgrading this to form better way of living? What is your view on that?
I would say, Sir Rajendranath C was a college mate of Swami Vivekananda, and he was Vice Chancellor of Mysore University. He has written a wonderful book about because general impression is that in India, in ancient sciences, our sages work only in the spiritual, metaphysical field. But he has written a brilliant book on the contribution of Indian sages to the physical sciences. And in that book he has used a beautiful word, a beautiful term. He has coined that phrase, India ever aging, never old. Which means that our wisdom is ancient, but we are, in fact there is another sutra from that way which says, Ano Kirtava Yantu Vishvate. Let noble thought come to us from all quarters. So we have never, in fact our tradition is not of closing our windows, closing our doors. We must remain open to all new ideas. We must remain open to interaction. And I will give you one more from a verse from Quran, which says, "Illa tanfiru yu'azzibkum azaban alima, wa yastabdil qawman ghayrakum." If you will not move forward, then God will give you tormenting punishment, and you shall be replaced by another set of people. Now there is a great wisdom. I cannot remain static. We cannot remain static. We have to move forward. And always remember that you always need to refresh yourself. I was referring to Sir Vijendra Nath Singh. He has further elaborated. He says that our wisdom is ancient, but we pass it on to younger generations, and in their hands it refreshes itself, and that is how India does never become old.
Good evening, sir. I'm Sheikh. I have a question that a lot of time, today is the day of a person who loved peace so much, and the whole world is fighting just because they don't know what religion is, and the whole Middle East, you see what is happening there, and what's in our country, what's between our neighboring countries is happening. So can there a system be created where we can transform the knowledge of the old people, of the good people? Because a lot of time few organizations represent the whole community, and they are doing some bad work, and they become advocates of that religion. So can there be a group of good people who can advocate that thing, that they are wrong and we are right? Can a system be created? How do you think that this thing can be done?
That's why the Indian tradition emphasizes so much on production of dheer. This is the job of the dheer. I hope in the time this institution produces many dheers who take up this thing in their own hands.
Safiuddin.
Sir, like you said that we need to serve the country, and we need to put the needs of the country and the community before ourselves. And nowadays we see that people are so close-minded. They have this tunnel vision that I will think about myself first, my career first, and my my life first, and then I will think of what I want to do for the community. I mean, how do we then inspire the masses or the youth to take into account the bigger picture and think about the country and be selfless? Because selflessness does not come, I mean, it does not come from within. We need to teach it to people. We need to set examples. So how can we give modern examples of selflessness? What are the modern examples of selflessness according to you?
What are the modern examples?
Of selflessness according to you?
Of selflessness?
Yeah, what we can use as inspiration.
Well, it is very, because I feel there is no paucity of such persons. There are so many of them, but it won't be very proper to name people. But I think the whole thrust of my remarks was that most of these problems are coming because we are not aware, we are not conscious of our own heritage. The Indian tradition asks me to be charitable, not simply because it is a matter of good conduct and good morals. The tradition tells me that if I am working, I am doing good to somebody, then actually I am not doing good to that person who is in need. I am doing good to myself, because essentially this theory of Atma and Paramatma links one individual to all others. And that is, if that awareness comes to our mind, I think that will create a great feeling of selflessness. Rather, possibly we will not be even in need of using this word selflessness, because helping other will become a selfish venture for me. That will be very welcome selfishness. Thank you.
Yes, Rahul.
Hello sir, so I am Rahul Tripathi. So as you mentioned quite a few times about Swami Vivekananda, so in 1894's World Parliamentary Religious Parliamentary Meet, he coined a very beautiful term of universal acceptance. He said like why we Indians or why our culture has been intact throughout the ages is because of universal acceptance. Going through various invasions also we have been intact. Sir, but if I transcend that particular concept of universal acceptance in today's world, with so much of agility and extremism way around, in and around the country, sir, the same DNA or the source of strength that was coined as universal acceptance by Swami Vivekananda, in present scenario, sir, don't you think that it's now becoming actually a threat for us? Because since we are accepting everything universally, it's becoming more of a threat rather than being the core strength which was earlier. So your take on that?
Well, universal acceptance does not mean you accept terrorism. Universal acceptance does not mean you accept the theories of hatred. Universal racial discrimination, then it does not mean. What universal acceptance means is, where I have quoted Swami Vivekananda, where he says that we do not consider them different religions. We consider these as attempts by human soul to reach the infinite in different contexts, in different time frame, in different regions of the world. In that sense, and that this is not something which has been given to us by Swami Vivekananda. Swami Vivekananda was merely explaining the basic principles, philosophical principle of Vedanta. This is our age-old heritage, and Indian society, because of this this tradition, we are a pluralistic society since time immemorial, whereas the world is now going on the same path. Last few hundred years, Europe has become pluralistic only during last few hundred years. There is no escape from it. So this, in fact, these principles are more valid in today's time and the times which are coming than they were earlier. The world is accepting these principles. And all these problems you are referring to, they are the problems. They have to be tackled. They are not to be accepted. Universal acceptance does not mean that you accept this kind of discrimination or terrorism or violence or hatred. That is the job of the government to put it down.
So sir, it's more of a communication gap. I mean, what was meant to be transcended, it has not been transcended through the communication. So how can we mend this communication gap so that to give the 100% transparent knowledge of our philosophies and systems?
Here I would say that India was acclaimed. Now we are aspiring to be knowledge destination. But India was acclaimed knowledge destination few thousand years back. I have done a piece, India as viewed by early Arab historians, where each and every, they identify there are only 5 kingdoms, 5 empires in the world. This empire is identified with beauty. This empire is identified with craft. This empire is identified with their majesty. And Indian empire is identified with knowledge. India was knowledge destination. Why history has been so cruel to us? I mean, how come people who had the knowledge, how come they were subjected to invasions and foreign rule for such a long period of time? Swami Ranganathananda, who was disciple, who was heading he died few years back, but he was heading the Ramakrishna mission, which was founded by Swami Vivekananda. He has written beautifully on this subject, and he says that unfortunately during the period of decline, we started concealing knowledge. We were not, you are talking of propagating, we were concealing knowledge. We were hiding it from our own people. And he has described them as Khal Saraswati, the villains of Saraswati, villains of knowledge. And he says that was the reason why India being a knowledge destination was treated so badly by the history. Today's situation is changing. For hundreds of years in battlefield, we always were humiliated. But since our new constitution has come into force, since, even Tulsi Das ji said, "Koi nahi rakho hame kahan, dasi ka ban deiyana." People in this country, in their own country, they did not feel that they had any stake in the society. Therefore, it did not bother them. When Babur attacked, the battle between Ibrahim Lodi and Babur, the historical accounts say that the total number of the people who were waiting in the surrounding villages to know about the outcome of the battle was larger than both the armies together. But like you wait there for the election results to come, they were waiting for the outcome of this battle. Why? Because they thought they had no stake in the society. Today, everybody feels a stake in the society. The result is that last 60, after this constitution became a reality, we have created new records. A new country has come into existence because of our support given by our army. And we see when any action takes place, now we see that job to defend the country is not confined to one group of people. Now it is, everybody feels it is my responsibility to defend the country. I think we are moving forward and we should continue this, accelerate this speed, and we will surely overcome all this.
Sir, this is Professor Nagpal, another fellow student, much junior to you. First of all, my salutes to you for such a deep understanding of religion that you have acquired. Mashallah, it has been really wonderful. My question is, you mentioned about the different religions being different stages of spiritual evolution. Can I understand it a little better?
Different religions being different attempts.
Different
Attempts to attain the same truth.
Different attempts.
Quest for the same truth.
And one after the other.
One after the other in different geographical
And,
time period contexts.
That means the same spirit has a journey from religion to religion
Yes.
to attain that realization of truth.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Does any of our foreign visiting students have any questions for our chief guest? Okay, wonderful. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Jenna from France, Neoma Business School. I had a question about something that you said earlier in response to another question, that even if you help people, it can still become selfish and not selfless. And in that case, does that mean that there's no selfless deed? That it's not possible to do something completely selfless?
No, essentially, the best thing is to be to develop that spirit of selflessness. But I think Indian tradition has taken into consideration the human nature's weaknesses and has told them that it will serve your selfish purposes if you help others. Why? Why? Because it is the same spirit which dwells in you, dwells in the other person. the good you do to the other person will return back to you.
So you help yourself and another person.
You help other and that will help you. Not you help yourself and that will help. The needy person must be helped, and that help which you render to that person, the needy person, ultimately it will benefit you. Yes.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your views and providing all those clarifications. From the basement of a school building to a sprawling, fully residential campus, BIMTech has seen all in its strides towards its goals. The strides getting only longer and stronger with time. We take this opportunity to felicitate those who have contributed significantly in the commencement of BIMTech Greater Noida campus. Can we have on stage Shri Pratap Parikh ji? Shri Pratap Parikh is the proprietor of an eminent architectural firm, Pratap Parikh and Associates, Delhi. He has been associated with the Birla family as an architect for their factories, school buildings and temple complexes spread across the country. In the year 2003, he was engaged by our founders, Shriyod B.K. Birla and Dr. Srimati Sarla Birla for designing the Greater Noida campus. Along with Dr. Chaturvedi, we studied several academic complexes including the ISB Hyderabad before finalizing the layout and architectural design of the Greater Noida campus. Ladies and gentlemen, can we hear it for him? Thank you, sir. Next we have Shri N.P. Singh. Shri N.P. Singh has been an associate of Shri Pratap Parikh and has been involved with the architectural designing of the Greater Noida campus. He is currently running his own firm, N.P. Singh Associates. We have benefited from his advice even during the expansion of our campus in 2009 and also for completing the pending work at our Bhubaneswar campus in 2013-14. Thank you, sir. Next in line is Shri C.S. Chhajar. He has been responsible for the financial management of BIMTech's old campus at New Delhi. He prepared several documents related to financial viability of this project in Greater Noida. A long-term employee of the Birla Academy, he is a man of integrity and clear thoughts. Currently, he is the financial controller of our sister institution, Birla Vidya Niketan. Next in line is Shri B.S. Chauhan. He is an alumnus of the University of Delhi. In law profession, he has more than 25 years of experience of practicing in the District Court as well as the Delhi High Court. He is on the legal panels of several PSU banks, including the Bank of Baroda and the Union Bank of India. With our institute, he has been associated as a standing lawyer for more than 11 years. Thank you, sir. Time for Shri Joginder Kumar to hand over the camera and come and join Dr. Chaturvedi. Round of applause shows how well-known and popular he is. For several thousand current students as well as alumni passing out during the last decade, Shri Joginder Kumar has taken more than 20,000 photographs for our students. He's been a photographer for Delhi Police, CRPF, ITBI, BP, CBI, NTPC and several other government agencies. His artistic photographs have been a major factor in building BIMTech as a national brand.
On behalf of BIMTech, it is my privilege to felicitate Professor Manasi Chaudhary, who has been with the campus for over 10 years. Manasi has specialized in engineering research. Apart from the campus, she has been popular amongst the BIMTech fraternity for spearheading cultural context activities. Thank you. I'll hand back the dais to Manasi.
And continues the journey. In our pursuit towards excellence, we've really worked hard and crossed many a milestone during the last 1 year. May I now request Professor Jaya Gupta and Professor Saloni Sinha to please present our annual activity report for the year 2013-14. It is my proud privilege to request the dignitaries on the dais to please release BIMTech's annual activity report 2013-14. BIMTech takes pride in not only being able to impart good management education, but also derives a sense of satisfaction from what BIMTechians are able to achieve. In our effort to collate and consolidate our achievements, we've recently come up with an online repository. I request Dr. Rishi Tiwari to join me on stage, and I now request Sri Arif Mohammad Khanji to please launch the BIMTech Institutional Repository.
Good afternoon, one and all. We are doing a lot of things in terms of the resources, providing services to our users. Recently, we worked on a digital repository, and today the time has come when we are going to launch BIMTech's digital repository, BDR. There are many advantages and benefits of this digital repository. Since time is not there, so very briefly, I will share some of them. Like, this repository is designed and developed on a very successful and strong open source software, that is DSpace. It means we will be having that open source of this, that source code of this software with us. So at any point of time, we can change, we can modify, we can customize this repository as per our need and as per our requirements. Number two, all the information that will be now on this one portal. So at any point of time, if you guys need any information, if you want to download any information, if you want to view and download any old issues of our journals, our newsletters, not only from BIMTech, but from any part of the globe, that you can do. The third is the search engine and the indexing part of this portal. The indexing and search part is very strong. In a single click, the information will be with you. Being an open source, freedom is there, but apart from freedom, the good thing is that no financial burden is on with us. Now I'll request our chief guest, so please come on that days and launch this website that will be very useful for our students and alumni. Yes, sir. BIMTech Digital Repository media that will also work as a website of our library, and whatever the information like photographs, e-resources, videos, audios, whatever you want to access from the activities that have been taken place in BIMTech, or everything will be available on this site. In coming days, we are going to make it more rich, more powerful. So in coming days, it will be very useful for all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Tiwari. As a token of appreciation and gratitude, I now request Dr. Chaturvedi, Director of BIMTech, to please present a memento to Shri Arif Mohammad Khan. I now request Dr. Anupam Verma, Deputy Director of BIMTech, to please deliver the formal vote of thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Manasi. Our chief guest on this 27th Foundation Day, Shri Arif Mohammad Khan, our director, Dr. Chaturvedi, Dr. Manasi Chaudhary, distinguished guests, special guests who have been felicitated today, colleagues, and dear students. Today also is the birthday of our father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi, and also Shri Lal Bahadur Shastri. So let me wish you all a very happy Foundation Day, and also greet you on the birth anniversary of two great nation builders, Mahatma Gandhi and Lal Bahadur Shastri. As we come to the end of this function, it is my privilege to extend a warm vote of thanks to everyone who has made this event a grand success. We are indeed privileged and fortunate to have amongst us today Mr. Arif Mohammad Khan, a distinguished politician who has been a MLA, MP, 4 terms in Parliament, Deputy Minister, Minister of State, and Cabinet Minister handling various portfolios with great distinction. We have seen the other side of Shri Arif Mohammad Khan today, the kind of knowledge, the kind of reading that he must have been doing, and the way he has been understanding and his capacity to pass it on to anyone who he talks to. His talk today on role of youth in national building in the current context has been very illuminating and educative. It has been a great speech. It has gone well and touched the right chords, as was evident from the reaction of the students and very much from our faculty. I must name Professor Nagpal. He has been our spiritual leader as well in this building. He emphasized on the value of nation building. His analysis of scriptures to bring home the point shows his deep knowledge of the matter. The learnings and takeaways from his thought-provoking address are many, and I am sure these students and indeed all of us stand benefited. On behalf of BIMTech Management, our director, and all of us present here, I deem it a great honor to convey our sincere gratitude and thanks to Shri Arif Muhammad Khan. We have today felicitated some of the very significant well-wishers of BIMTech. In establishment of our Noida campus, their contributions have been immense. We feel honored today to once again recognize their contributions and thank them from the core of our heart for all that they have done for BIMTech. Please give them a big hand. We have today also released the annual activity report. A lot of effort has gone into preparing this report. The first report was made last year, that was the Golden Jubilee Year report. And that report was from 2nd October, from our Foundation Day, till this Foundation Day. And now we have decided to make it an annual event on the basis of our academic year. So this particular report is from the last Foundation Day till June 15 this year, and the future reports will be on actual annual day basis. I must extend once again my compliments to my colleagues, Professor Jaya Gupta and Saloni Sinha, for having worked very hard in compiling and editing the information that is contained in this report. Another feature of today's event has been the launch of BIMTech Institutional Repository. We have been thinking about it. The idea, as usual, came from our director to have all the important information, particularly the academic information, at one place. And so this task was given to our ever creative Dr. Rishi Tiwari. And today he has come up with this launch, with this portal, which has been launched by Mr. Khan. So let's give a hand once again to Rishi Tiwari. Last but not the least, I must convey my appreciation and my thanks to all the guests who are present here, to the faculty members, to all my colleagues who are present here, and convey my special thanks for making this conference a success. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, sir. That brings us to the end of this enriching experience. I now take the privilege of inviting all the dignitaries on the dais, guests, faculty, colleagues, staff and students to the ground floor for the community lunch in the activity plaza. Thank you all.